Hi, everybody. I think we're going to start. It's just gone 7 o'clock, and so many people are joining us. But we're going to start in interest of those that have joined us at right on time. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us for this first event, the MenoMove event. And it's so wonderful to have Monique with us tonight. I'm going to hand over to Monique in a few seconds, and Monique will introduce herself. But I think it's so important as corporates and individuals that are joining us tonight to know why Business Engage has decided to start on this journey of educating and disseminating information in terms of menopause. In the work environment, we talk about all subjects that are very important, like your period poverty, gender-based violence. But I think something that has impacted every single person on this planet, not just women, is menopause. And I don't think we have normalized it in the work environment yet. So what we are asking you to do is, I know you've joined us this evening as because of your interest in menopause, but please, after tonight, start disseminating the information, start getting even the men to come and join us, because it really isn't a women's issue. It is an issue that every single person will face. So I can't see any faces or anything. I'm hoping that you'll get involved with tonight. I'm going to hand over to Monique, and Monique's going to introduce you. Hi, Shavona. That's great to see your face.
Oh,
So I'm going to hand you over to Monique. Monique is going to introduce herself and why she's involved, why we've got her involved tonight. Belinda, great that you've switched on your camera. Thank you. But please, it's an interactive evening. It's here. If you've got any questions, Monique will tell you she's here to answer questions. It's not just a cookery session. It really is. She's going to give you some tips and tricks. And so use this as an opportunity to get all the information you're needing. Once Monique is finished, we'll just wrap up with Jay telling you a little bit about the platform, how to use the platform, and how to get it into your corporate. So Monique, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We really are excited to have you as our first event. Handing over to you.
thank you. It's really nice to be here. Welcome to my home in very chilly Joburg tonight. So hopefully we'll keep a little bit warm with all the busyness in the kitchen. I'm a dietitian. I have been in practice for 13 years now. And one of the things we love doing as dietitians is just educating people around nutrition and good food. But more than that, how to make it practical. So our practice is called Nutritional Solutions, and we literally do that. We help people, we have our solutions to challenges and problems that we experience. And I think the move that's been having here, I love the name of this campaign, MenoMove, is so fascinating because it just doesn't get talked about. I was chatting earlier and saying how even as dietitians, for the first time this year, we came together as a practice and pulled together a whole bunch of information around menopause and how to manage it nutritionally and through diet, because we're all seeing more and more menopausal women. So really the whole basis of tonight is to hopefully sit back, maybe even enjoy a glass of wine, so you can turn the camera on or off, up to you. And as we go through, let's keep it really casual. If you have any questions, let me know. But I've picked a couple of recipes today from the cookbook. It is stunning. That Jay will refer you later to how to download it. It's really gorgeous. And all of the recipes in there are somehow linked to good health for menopause and nutrition. So we're going to get started today. Three things we're going to be doing. We're going to be making a omelette, a Spanish omelette. We're going to be doing some Moroccan baked chicken. And then I will end off with doing a nice little a dip, a sweet chili dip that we're going to blitz with some sweet chili sauce and cashews. So, like I said, as we get chatting, please keep it casual. I have another camera on over here, which I will move around. I was just trying to find a way that we could have kind of more than one views on what we're doing here. So, the first one I'm going to do is the Spanish omelette, and I'm actually doing this for dinner for like a really on purpose, because I think all of us think that eggs have to be breakfast food. It's just such a misconception, right? But eggs are such a nice protein food. So I'm just going to start going here and then I'll chat you through a few things. But why I absolutely love it is rich and filling and good protein. So one of the things that we find are quite low with ladies who are going through menopause is they don't eat nearly enough protein. One of the nutrients that we really miss out on And what's happening through menopause is there's a natural decline in lean body mass and muscle mass. And that unfortunately happens with a sharp drop of estrogen that's being experienced. And that also then plumps up the body fat. So it's these changes in body compositions that are really, really impacting a woman's ability to lose weight. So one of the things I do in my meal plans with ladies is I help them to just pump up the protein a little. So your eggs and chicken, fish, even things like tin beans, chickpeas and lentils if you want to go a bit more Mediterranean-based or legume-based. It's a really good way to help keep you fuller for longer. And as a result, help with weight loss. Because that's probably the biggest thing that I see with ladies, it's weight loss. So we're going to start off with the omelette. So the grill is on. I just popped the pan on. You turn around that way. And I've pretty much prepared everything to make it as easy as possible. But one of the first things we're going to do is saute some potatoes. I love the potato that goes into here. It makes it a complete meal. Because then you've got the potato, that's the carb. You've got a couple of veggies being thrown in. The egg, that's the protein. It really makes it a nice complete meal. And I know many of us ladies are scared of carbs. They're not the devil. You know, one more time for people at the back. Really, carbs can be your friend. Just choose the right ones. There's a difference here between us sauteing a couple of potato cubes versus eating deep fried crisps from the local takeaway. It's two different things. You know, a little bit of carbs is absolutely important for good gut health. Speaking of good gut health, it is really important that when we are trying to be healthy, we focus on fiber. So fiber is one of the most important things that I love to talk about. When it comes to menopause, what's the link then? Fiber, gut health, everything to do with the brain. The gut is your second brain. The gut is so involved in neurotransmissions and nerves that they call it the gut-brain axis. That one, the gut talks to the brain talks to the gut. So if our gut is not happy, we are not happy. And with the sharp drops in estrogen, there are changes in serotonin that happen. That's your feel-good hormone. And that's why women going through menopause can feel a lot more anxious or depressed. I was actually reading a stat earlier. A UK study was showing that 1 in 5 women in the UK are quitting their job when they go through menopause, linked to menopausal symptoms, anxiety, depression, and not being understood in this space. So I've got some potato sauteing over here. I know the recipe says to do some sweet peppers, some red peppers, but thank you, Chipper6060, who didn't send it. So I'm making a plan and I'm throwing in some sun-dried tomato that I just happen to have. So it's still red. And I probably didn't even have to say anything about it. You wouldn't even notice. So while we're sauteing this, I'm going to start going with the other dish where we're doing some chicken, Moroccan baked chicken. So this Moroccan baked chicken dish is so lovely. It's so super easy. I do it quite often. I'm going to do it today in the oven as a baked chicken dish, but what I also do is I pop it onto skewers. I cut little cubes of chicken breast, pop it onto skewers, and then throw that on the braai. And it's a really, really nice party trick. It's a little bit more festivity. So what I'm going to start doing now is just mixing up a couple of the spices. And again, I have very purposely added in a spicy dish tonight because I get asked this question all the time. Do we spice? Do we not spice? Does it worsen symptoms? Does it not? And from what I've realized in practice is that it's a half-half answer. In some women, they get really put off by spices because of the hot flashes. They want cooler foods and cold foods, which is absolutely fine. But in others, they find it quite satisfying. There is no research to say that spicy foods, and I mean, I'm not even talking about, a big habanero, chili, or Tabasco. I'm talking just about spices. So the spices I've got here are things like cinnamon, paprika, cumin. This is what's going into your dish now if you're following along on the recipe. We're mixing a little bit of each of these into some yogurt. It's called some yogurt. And if you really want to bring the spice in, this is the point where you bring in like some cayenne pepper or some chili flakes. So what's important to know when it comes to spices is it's really a personal choice. I just think it's an important part of the eating enjoyment and process. If you are able to spice up your food and flavor it up, I mean, who wants to sit eating steamed chicken breast and boiled broccoli the rest of their life? So definitely an important part of it is adding in the spice. Like I said, if you can handle it, I think that's the most important part of it. How easy how your taste buds adjust. And they can also change. The changes in hormones can also change taste buds over time. So you might have really liked spicy food before, and you just don't dislike it now, beyond the fact that you're experiencing some symptoms. So what I've done here is I've mixed some cumin, paprika, and cinnamon with some yogurt. So I've got some full cream yogurt. How dare I say full cream, right? My dietitian. Shouldn't be fat-free. Full cream yogurt is perfectly fine. For me, it gives a lot more creaminess to this recipe. So then what I've done is I have arranged my chicken breasts, and you literally just pour it over. And what's quite nice about this recipe, it's one of these that I love to do. You're quite busy. I'll maybe prep something exactly like this on a Sunday afternoon or when I'm cooking Sunday lunch. And then I just cover it in foil and leave it in the fridge. And then when I get home the next day, oven goes on, food in the oven, and that's that. So don't be scared to meal prep like that. That's my version of meal prep. Not necessarily cooking it, but kind of pre-prepping for it. So I popped the marinade here. And what we find works quite well is if you leave it to marinate for at least an hour if possible. More overnight would be amazing. And part of that is because the yogurt, there's a slight acidity to yogurt. And acidity is from a healthy gut bacteria called blood cultures in the yogurt. And that acidity just softens the meat and it just brings up a whole new flavor when you are letting it overnight. But even half an hour is perfectly fine. And then what I like to do is either throw in some roast tomatoes or just a punnet of baby tomatoes, any sort of bit of color. I'm also going to do some red onion on this one today. Turn this way. Here's a little trick to cut an onion. I learned this at varsity. When there's more than just nutrition at varsity, they actually taught us how to cook. So if you take your onion and then you halve it, right, and you keep the one half intact, what you actually do is you cut slices in one direction. You then go horizontal. See what I'm doing here.
Monique, you're going to have to turn your camera down a bit. We can't see you cutting the onion.
It's on the phone camera.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Let me do that.
There
we go.
Yep.
And then once you've done those two slits horizontally and vertically, it actually just makes you perfect little blocks, which is quite nice little trick I learned. Yeah, you can throw any sort of veggie onto here. I also quite like at this point putting in some chickpeas. Find that gives it a nice bulkiness. And chickpeas, red kidney beans go quite nicely also. Or if you are wanting to be a little bit more vegetarian based, you could even use this marinade just with chickpeas. I've done that. My husband's had a colleague come over and he's vegan. Of course, I get very excited. I've cooked for him, but he didn't mind a bit of yogurt. So I did it with the exact same dish, which is chickpeas, and it came out really, really nicely. So that is how you would finish off. And I said I would actually just cover this and put it in the fridge overnight, or you can cook it immediately, and then you've got a lovely dish. Let me show you what it looks like. I prepped one earlier. This one I threw some roasted tomatoes over. You put it on this here. It comes out really nice and hearty and healthy. You know, you've made a homemade marinade from basic ingredients. I mean, we've always got a yogurt in the fridge and all these lovely flavors, and it makes for a nice dish. So something like this, I quite enjoy serving with some couscous. You could also do something like brown rice. Like I said, carbs are friends. It's okay if we eat a little bit of it. And what we just want to look at for carbs is that they're high fiber for gut health we spoke about earlier. So how you do that, and I'm hoping some of you have some ingredients in front of you at the moment, or you can quickly just rush to the kitchen while you're listening to me. But how you define a food as high in fiber is it has more than 6 grams of fiber per 100 grams of the product. So if you were to turn at the back, like this plastic rice, and go all the way down to where it says fiber or dietary fiber, in this example, you will see that there is 12 grams of fiber per 100 grams. So this whole grain brown rice is a high fiber product. And that's really what you want when you're looking at your carbohydrates. It's really about finding the best option, quality, it's not just quantity. Okay. So that's what I would serve this with. If you are keeping low carb, what you could also do is maybe some cauli rice with this, or maybe serve it over something like some vegetable noodles or cauli noodles, and then it'll make for a really tasty, hearty dish, especially nice in the winter time. So I'm going to keep going on the omelets, Spanish omelets. So I sauteed the potatoes just to soften them up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to throw in some chives. So I chopped up a whole bunch of chives earlier, and my little guy helped me do that. They love to be in the kitchen. I really make it quite a point of my boys cooking with me. I think it's so important for not just boys, but just for youngsters to be in the kitchen and cooking. It's actually, even if there's any moms listening with toddlers, so many studies to show that kids who are in the kitchen are actually more adventurous eaters, just because they've seen the foods, they've tasted it, they've held it in their hands. It's just such an important part of their journey together. So I've thrown some chives in there with the tomato, with the potato. Like I said, I did some sun-dried tomato because of no order from Checkers arriving earlier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to whisk our eggs together. So I've got 6 eggs here, all ready to go. I'm going to season with some salt and pepper. It's okay to have a little bit of salt. The point of salt is to enhance flavor, not necessarily to overpower it. That's how I always explain to people. It really can bring out the flavor in the egg, flavor in veggies. I think the bigger problem is when we overdo it. The risk of too much salt, and this is for everyone, not just someone who's pre or post-menopausal, but it increases our risk of high blood pressure. Not that everyone who has high blood pressure eats a lot of salt, okay? But it increases our risk. And the problem with that is the estrogen that was protective pre-menopause, bone protective, heart protective, brain protective, sharp decline, that goes away. So our risk of heart disease goes up so much quicker when we're menopausal. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, it's nice and soft here. I'll just cut these quite small so they soften up. They'll also keep cooking in with the egg. That will do. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently to what would be in the recipe, purely because I don't have a pan that can go in the oven. But what you would do now, that way, is you would pop your egg mixture into here and then set it on the stove top. But I have pan B, and I have put some paper on a fur dish. Just use some spraying cook so it doesn't stick. So all that you're going to do is you're going to transfer the sauteed potato into here. And I'd rather charge, just give it a little bit of fanciness. And then pour your egg mixture over and pop it in the oven. Yeah, like I said, it's quite a nice. This is in the breakfast section of the recipes, but this can make for such a nice dinner. Also, a nice little party trick. I'm thinking about this for like a party, you know, little frittata. And you can then just slice up there with some dip. I'll pop that in the oven and hope that that will set before the end of our chat tonight. And that takes care of our Spanish omelette and our chicken, Moroccan baked chicken. Are there any questions so far as we start to go on to the third recipe?
Many, but we're trying to keep up.
You make it seem so easy.
There was planning involved. Everything's organized here. If I could show you, it's all lined up and ready to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that we are going to make the next one, the sweet chili cottage cheese dip. This is so yum. And again, it's one of these things we have most of these ingredients in our fridge, where why I like this is as a dip. It's quite nice, really nice for party dip. But what tends to happen through menopause is the fluctuating hormonal levels also tend to affect our insulin, and that affects our sugar levels. So when your insulin levels go up, you are hungry. You are a lot more likely to crave. And the aim here, or how am I tying this into a cottage cheese dip, is if you've got some snack options available, a little bit more exciting than just a banana or a fruit. This enables us to then feel a little bit fuller for longer. Also, the protein in the cottage cheese is important because it keeps us fuller for longer. Plus, we're getting calcium. Like I said, estrogen actually protects the bones. So that's why our needs for calcium increase through post-menopause. Not just so we need to get in more because we're not getting that bone protection anymore. But this is really nice because you can blitz it together on a weekend, pop it in a container, and then smooth it maybe on some crackers as a quick snack, as a breakfast if you really want something quick and on the go. It works nicely as a dip if you're quite a fan of finger veggies, for example. Let's get a bit boring, just use some finger veggies and dip it in. And just keep it in the fridge for a couple of days quite nicely. So I've got here just a little food blender, tiny, but it works so well. I got this when my boys were little, and I started making baby food at home. You must know, being a dietitian, how much I love that. It's like the best thing ever.
Sorry, Monique. I've just got a question in the chat. Renee, Jade at the end of the session will show you how to access all of these recipes plus additional ones that we've put together. Have been included in a recipe book that's on the platform. So Jade will show you at the end and you'll be able to access the recipes, okay?
Thank you.
What we've also done is taken a step further on the recipes, where we've not just thrown in recipes and said, goodbye, go cook, have fun. We made a lovely grocery shopping list, makes it nice and easy, a menopause grocery shopping list, make it as easy as possible to stock up on some items. And we've also thrown in, with most recipes, little tidbits of info, all the stuff I'm talking about now. Why should we be doing more dairy? Why should we have spice? Should we not? Should we have more caffeine or not? That's another question I often get. And the advice is that we got to kind of curb the caffeine a little bit, mostly linked to those changes in in cravings. But keep it to 2 to 3 cups a day and you'll be fine. So cottage cheese, I put a tub of cottage cheese in here. So it's a nice low-fat cottage cheese. And then we're throwing in cashews. I'm dividing the recipe in two, just because I know I won't eat it in time. And then 2 tablespoons of sweet chili sauce. Using spices like all that we were speaking about earlier, cumins and cinnamons, paprika, sweet chili sauce, can absolutely be used in moderation. It's a question I get all the time. You know, oh, but it's sweet, it's sugar. But if you're more likely to enjoy the food and with such minimal added sugar, but so much flavor, then absolutely go for it. Other things like sweet chili sauce or things like balsamic reduction or chutney, you know, smidges of these foods in your meals can really go far with that satisfaction and flavor. I'm just going to blitz it. And before I do that, I'm going to actually not kill all your ears and just mute myself. Here we go. Let me show you how nice it looks actually, and smells really yum. Smells really yum. I mean, here it's all sweet chili, cottage cheese, and nuts. It really comes out quite nicely. It's nice if you get the mix of the soft creaminess of the cottage cheese with sweet chili sauce, and then that kind of chunkiness still of the nuts. Even though you blitz it, you still get the chunks of nuts. It can actually look quite nice. And then you just pop some coriander on it. I mean, how's that for a nice little girls get together brunch? Put it that way. So that's the kind of thing you could, for example, pop on a cracker, quick breakfast, need a bit of a snack in between meals. And it looks appetizing. I think it's so important to remember, you know, we eat with color. We eat with our eyes. So it's so important that we have foods that show that. That's where fruits and veggies come in, not just the nutrients, but the color and it's just so much more appetizing to enjoy. I would do something like this. You do the same with maybe a slice of whole grain toast in the morning. Or like I said, use it as more of a dip. If you maybe get some the small little rice crackers as dips. I want to pop a chow cracker. Nothing that looks a whole lot more satisfying than just normal cottage cheese. And I'm a big coriander fan. It's one of those, I think it's like red wine, either love it or hate it. So if you don't like it, please do leave it out. That's something I always tell my patients when I'm working with them is every ingredient is interchangeable. Every ingredient you can leave out or swap out to something else, not to panic. I found a lot of ladies have this concept that cooking is difficult because I've got all these ingredients and too much. I do it the other way. I kind of choose the recipe based on what I got in the cupboard rather than the other way around. I think that makes for a really nice snack. See, colourful, get those pops of red from the sweet chili sauce. That can be really yum. I'm just going to click in on the frittata, the omelette over here. So what makes it a Spanish omelette, one to six, is the potato that gets added in. Like I said, what's quite nice about that is it makes it a complete meal. It's really important to, as much as possible, try and have balanced meals. But when we say balance as dietitians, we mean a little bit of a mix of all food groups. So not just protein or not just carbs or just fat, but a little bit of all of those. So for me, it's quite a nice thing when it comes to the Spanish omelette that it's all there. What I would also do with something like this omelette is cut it into little slices, little lunchbox fillers or some wedges. You can take that to work, easy to eat cold if you don't have a microwave. So it keeps quite nicely in the fridge for, I'd say, about 5 days even. Or just serve it whole. I have people over for brunch, have parties, so it pretty much becomes like a quiche. That's what I did with the wax paper, because then I can just flip it over and then serve it, scat with a little bit of herbs, and it actually looks really, really nice. So we're just going to wait for that to set. And then I was wondering if there's any questions that we can start to delve into. I haven't been on the chat since I've been chatting so much. But keen to hear if there's any sort of questions. Okay, Elaine says she got enough caffeine for her entire family. I'll probably say the same thing about wine. But I have 2 boys, they're 3 and 5. I think I'm allowed to drink wine. Hey.
I think you should
Thank
be
you,
drinking
Sherry.
wine.
We should be right now, right? To put that. One of the recipes I did put together was a poached pear with some red wine. So that could be quite nice. Maybe let's delve a little bit around the discussion on alcohol. And we do suggest that women going through menopause cut back on alcohol for 2 reasons. One is the energy density of alcohol. So what energy dense means is that relative to the volume of what you're eating or drinking, it's got a lot of energy. So to give you context, speaking of our beloved wine, 1 glass of wine is the same energy as 2 slices of bread worth of energy. So, I'm not kind of contradicting myself of how I loved carbs 2 minutes ago. I still love carbs, but just for context. So 1 glass of wine is 2 slices of bread of energy. Now, you're having 3 or 4 an evening, that's 8 slices of bread. If you add that up over a week, even if it's just 5 days a week, that's 40 slices of bread. An average loaf is 16 slices of bread. So you've had more than 2 loaves of bread extra every week just in the wine. So I'm not saying don't have some. What I'm just trying to give you is the context of why when you drink lots of alcohol, it does become more difficult to lose. It does become a little bit harder because you're adding in calories, energy-dense calories from drinks. So small amounts is absolutely important, because then I get told, well, especially like wines, it's heart protective. All these French ladies are so, enjoying their wine, and it is in low doses. It's absolutely fine. And as I say this, Belinda is now having a hot flush drinking wine. That's worth it, eh? Are you finding a drink a hot flush? Okay, it's the other way around. I get a lot of questions around hot flashes and how to manage them. That's a really, really tough one. When that heat is on, it must be as you can tell, I haven't gone through menopause. Well, I can say I have, and I just really look really good for someone who has. But it can be, I'm sure, super upsetting and very uncomfortable. So there actually isn't a single treatment that will just nip those hot flashes in the bud. It really isn't a case, but you can try and manage the severity of the symptoms. You also got some women who swing through menopause like a breeze, literally, and others who have these hot flashes all day, every day. So a couple of the things that we just suggest to ladies is keep a focus on fluids, drinking enough water and fluids. And by fluids, I don't mean wine or coffee, but you can count water as fluid, sparkling water, and then any non-caffeinated tea, like a rooibos tea or a peppermint tea, a chamomile tea, that tends to work quite well. And what's interesting is we were speaking about having our snack earlier of, like a cottage cheese on cracker. But the importance of this is balancing your blood sugar. And I mean, did you know that the fluctuations in your blood sugar can actually aggravate menopausal symptoms? That's another reason why we want to potentially be snacking, is we need to stabilize and balance out our sugar levels. And that often helps in severity, lessening the severity of it. And then the other side of managing hot flashes is kind of just a case of mind over matter, where we know that the symptoms are worsened by stress. And this is such a stressful time in a woman's life. It might be helpful to find stress reducing strategies like yoga, walking with a friend, meditation, if you are spiritual, going to church, or just finding ways to be more mindful and more present. It really tends to help quite a bit. Belinda, it's the worst feeling in the world. What was fascinating for me is watching my mom and aunts go through it, and how my aunt really struggled with hot flashes, like unbelievable. She was just always fanning herself, and you actually couldn't even see it. It's not like she was a red tomato. My mom sailed through one hot flash. She was absolutely fine. So you get told that a lot of the symptoms, or when you start, is very genetically linked, and it seems to be the case. So if your aunt or mom started early at 45, then you're more likely to. But I find that interesting how between sisters, same parents, it was a completely different experience. Elaine's emojis are quite funny. See here, Claire de Gamma, high fiber is more than 6 grams of fiber per 100 grams. Good to know. Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice way to define it. So if you really pick up anything, it's a nice little trick. One of the things I love to do is educate people on how to read food labels. So here, just as an example, here are some tinned chickpeas. And if I look under the per 100 grams, it is 10 grams of fiber per 100 grams. So that's why things like beans and chickpeas and lentils are so good for us, because they're so nicely high in fiber. I throw these into almost everything. Much of my poor family's just there. So like with Mediterranean baked chicken I did today, I'd put chickpeas there. If I'm making curry, instead of doing just a chicken curry, I would do a chicken butter bean curry. Big stews, I throw in kidney beans. Throw it in. Mince. I will never make a pot of mince without putting in 2 tins of lentils. It goes in, you barely notice it, and it goes further. I mean, let's be honest. As one of the ladies I work with put it, the rand is low these days. Compared to all these dollar prices, the rand is low. Protein is the most expensive part of meal. Think of meat, chicken, and fish and the cost of them. If you're able to still keep the protein in your meal, but dilute it with things like lentils and chickpeas, not only does it go further for the family, you're actually boosting up the health. So it's an absolute win for me. So there's an example. One thing I did want to mention earlier, but I didn't go too much into it. Olive oil, things like your healthy fats. So here's a nice olive oil that I enjoy in the kitchen. We get a lot of questions from menopausal ladies who go, what's the best diet for menopause? Like, can you answer this one question, say it's this? And the truth is we can't really, because everyone's so different. One lady going through menopause who's super into CrossFit is going to be completely different to someone who maybe is trying to gain weight. Okay. So if we were to really say what the best diet was, I would probably put it down to what we call the Mediterranean style diet. So it's not a diet per se, it's a style of eating, it's a pattern of eating. And you think of the Mediterranean countries, Portugal, Spain, France, they are doing things like lots of flavor, in spices. I'm Portuguese, and my family cooks with a lot of cumin. Olive oil is an absolute. A lot of things like chickpeas and lentils, lean fish. So we pop some fish recipes into the recipe book also. And it's the style of eating that we've seen does quite well with managing weight, menopause symptoms, and just overall health. I'm a big fan of the Mediterranean style diet. Oh, Joanne says so much can be prepared in advance. It makes healthy easier. Absolutely. We have this thing, we have to cook fresh meals all the time. But I mean, something like this chicken, Moroccan baked chicken, it's maybe going into a bit more detail on something like this. So this is tonight's dish, and maybe I serve this with some brown basmati rice. There'll be leftovers, and tomorrow I can chop it up and pop it into a salad, or chop it up and put it into a wrap. Those are the kind of things you want to be doing when you want to be healthy. How do you reuse? Or it's an exact leftover. You know, if you've got 6 chicken breasts, yeah, you divide it in the family of 4, you're going to have 2 left over, and that's your lunch and your partner's for the next day. There's also a way to do it. So there's lots you can do. I do the same thing with mince. I make a kilo of mince at a time and then just cycle. It's a wrap, it's a bolognese. I love my air fryer. So what I do is I take peppers and I slice them in half and I pop them like these little boats in the air fryer with a little drizzle of olive oil. And I roast them like that and then take it out the air fryer, put mince on and serve it like that. You eat the whole thing. If you're a pepper fan, it's really delish. You can put a little bit of feta on there if you want. Still have it with a side salad. But just reuse it because it's usually the stuff that takes the longest to cook is your proteins. So have them ready to grab. Elaine can smell it. It does smell really yum. Yeah, we eat with our senses, not just with taste buds. So it's important to make food taste good. It's the worst when you, like I said, are thinking dieting and being healthy is all about eating chicken breast and boiled broccoli. Like, add that flavor, please. I hope this recipe book can really show what I mean. What we all feel as dietitians in this time. In general, whether you're menopausal or not, whether you're losing or gaining weight, food is such a joy. We mustn't take the toy away from it. Let's see if there's any more messages. Oh yeah, Kay, the true one should avoid spicy foods. Kay, you might have popped on after we actually chatted about this because it's such a common question. So I've got a whole bunch of spices out here today. And what I was saying earlier is it kind of can go either way. So not that there's a lot of research on it, but more anecdotal in that some women can't touch pepper. It's too much for them. And it triggers these hot flashes. But others actually do quite well. So I would say try it out, see what works for you and what doesn't, and what level of intensity. What I also was saying earlier is how these spicy foods and flavors can add so much enjoyment to the food. You're more likely to be satisfied. And if you're more satisfied, you're less likely to overeat. So I'm a big proponent, especially with my more Mediterranean background, of lots of flavors in food. It really can make a difference. Where Pony's asking, she's diabetic, and it seems every food she eats triggers her sugar level. And it's a pity to hear so, because this shouldn't really be the case. What I suggest you maybe do more, Pony, is maybe reach out to your employer wellness program and see if you've got some sessions with a dietitian. What they can do is they can help you learn how to stabilize those blood sugar levels by mixing foods. So as an example, we were showing up earlier this little cracker with some cottage cheese. This theoretically should actually help stabilize blood glucose because you're mixing cottage cheese, protein, with carbohydrates, the cracker. So maybe chat with the dietitian and see if she can help you. It is something that when you eat right, you're able to stabilize those blood sugars a whole lot better. But Linda's wondering if there are some vegan options in the cookbook. Trying to reflect back. Jay, do you remember? I think we did throw in a few. And some of them also, what you can do is adjust. So we got some smoothie recipes in there. And instead of using maybe a yogurt or a cow's milk, you could always look at doing some almond milk as a replacement or a coconut-based yogurt. You can take something like this Mediterranean chicken dish that we've done and use exactly the same ingredients, minus the chicken, and throw in some chickpeas, maybe even some big chunks of tofu. I'm trying to think. That could probably be quite nice. So look at the ingredients and adjust accordingly. And there's lots of little infographics like that these days, I've realized. If you go on the net or even just follow people who enjoy cooking on Instagram, you'll see that they've got nice swaps. Like you can swap sunflower oil for so much applesauce, or you can swap. So it's not always like for like, depending on the consistency of what you're swapping it out for. So that could be a fun experiment you can try if you want to go a bit more vegan. Let's see if there's any other questions. If not, then I might be handing it over to Jade while I check on our Spanish omelets. Oh, it's not.
The next room, quick. Hi, Jade's going to join on now.
I'm going to bring on the Spanish omelets.
Okay. She's just actually moving into another room, otherwise it's going to echo.
Bye, Dad.
This is the Spanish omelet. Best way to check if it's ready is just to tap it, and then you'll know if it's firm enough. But I mean, imagine cooling this down, flipping it over once it's full, and then you have a really nice dish. I think it's quite nice.
All right, everyone. Let me just quickly, I'm sorry, I was very busy cooking. So I actually forgot about this part. I didn't, but I've been quite hectic on this side, breaking up a sweat over here. I'm gonna, just so everyone knows, thank you very much for joining tonight, by the way, and thank you so much, Monique, for actually a really fun evening. I must say, we've been running around my kitchen like crazy here. What I wanted to let you guys know is that by joining this evening, you will be added to our MenoMove database. You will receive an email from me with the request to change your password, which means that you have received a registration. It's free. And I just wanted to give you a quick glimpse of what you will find over there. So I'm going to share my screen if everyone's okay with that.
Jade,
So, yes.
it would be wonderful if Monique starts a you cook thing and sends us the ingredients.
Yeah, listen, I'm all for that. We've been running this side, but I do agree with you. That's a great idea. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we do.
Wonderful.
Yes,
So,
we can.
great, thank you, loud and clear. So I just wanted to give you an idea. So when you receive the email to change your password and to register, it will take you to this website to change your password. And on registration, well, you will be registered with our website, but on changing of your password, you will have access to log into our dashboard, which you can click on the top right hand corner. Sorry, some people have kids. I've got dogs that are trying to get involved here. So you will be able to click on the dashboard once you are logged in the top right hand corner over here where it says dashboard. And then you'll be able to scroll down and find that there is a tile called MenoMove Recipes Edition 1. What's important to note as well is you also have access to a number of other resources that we are consistently building on. So just to give you guys a glimpse into what we're planning, we've got a lot of events planned with various professionals across different industries. You are able to find a supplier directory whereby we're starting to load professionals, whether it be homeopathic or exercise-based or nutrition-based. They are all being loaded in here as having verified that they do specialize in menopause-specific treatment or consultation. You'll be able to gain access to a number of additional resources over here. You will be signed up for our newsletter. You get access to our Meno chat, which is quite amazing, actually. It's essentially a contextual conversational software. If you guys haven't heard about it, it's a contextual software whereby you get to engage with a chatbot. And I know a chatbot sounds very robotic, but we've really built it into a contextual space where you can actually have a conversation. So if you feel like you need to get a bit of support, but you don't really know what you want to ask or how you're feeling, that chat interface is available for you to engage with. You can also engage with it on your phone. So you will receive further updates on that via our newsletter, which you're signed up for. But most importantly, for the purpose of this evening, is that you'll be able to download the recipe book. So once you click on this tile, it will automatically download. You'll see it's popped up over here, our beautiful recipe book that we've spent much time between Monique and ourselves working on and designing and making sure that it's really beautiful so that you only need to focus on actually cooking. And basically, we've got tons of recipes in here that Monique has assisted us to put together, along with shopping lists. You've got different recipes. The recipes we've been following this evening, I know we sent around a document, but it really is beautiful once you actually download our recipe book that you'll be able to get within the dashboard on the platform, along with various other assets. So this just gives you an idea of what you can expect. And this is definitely not our first, sorry, it's definitely not our last edition of this recipe book. We're planning to do future events on this, have various updates on these recipes moving forward, along with various other events that we have planned. And we're really excited to have each of you as part of our this is essentially one of the official launches of MenoMove. We're really excited to have each one of you here, so you can have a look at that in your own time. You're welcome to download it from the dashboard. But that's essentially it from me. You can expect a lot more from us moving forward. Of course, our main aim is to encourage understanding and awareness within corporate workplaces. But we do realize and offer support for individuals, because in the end, an employee is an individual as well. So that is our main aim as part of this initiative, and you can expect some really exciting things moving forward. So really, thank you for your time.
While you're chatting, Jade, I just finished off the Spanish omelets.
Oh gosh, yeah. I need to go and look at my Spanish omelet.
Yeah, just slice it into these nice little chunks. I think it makes nice party food or lunchbox fillers. We got kitties, kind of nice little thing, maybe pop into lunch.
Is our Spanish omelet burnt on the other side of the house there?
Jade, you must know, I had to be organized. Everything was ready to go. It's much harder when you're doing it in your kitchen.
We had everything organized, I must say. Cole got everything sorted, but yeah, I think we had a plan, and the plan kind of didn't really stick. So there's a lot of washing for tomorrow. Let me just put it that way.
Yes, thank goodness for dishwashers.
Okay, I'm going to hand over to Cole. I think she's got something to say. I'm going to drop off here and join her on that side.
No, back to you, Monique.
Thanks. So thank you so much to everyone who logged in tonight, taking your time away from your families and hopefully inspiring you to be a little bit more exciting in the kitchen. You are welcome to join there. Moipone, she wants to come for dinner. I'll send you the address, the GPS location. But I hope this has just helped encourage and inspire you, show you that healthy eating doesn't have to be boring, overly expensive, very different to maybe what you normally do. It's really just getting creative in the kitchen, throwing things together and just using them in different ways. So thank you. I'm glad you learned a lot. I hope you picked up on a couple of nutritional tips outside of menopause even. If you don't have menopause, if you can internalize a lot of these things and really start to just uplift and revamp your nutrition. So thanks to Vivid Engage for having me, and I hope everyone has a great warmer evening.
Fantastic, Monique. And if you want to connect with Monique, all her details are on the MenoMove website. But please, after tonight, please go and share this with your colleagues at the office, both men and women. It's not a women's issue. It really is something that is impacting the work environment. If you've got any questions, more than welcome to drop me a note and we'll make time to chat. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here tonight. Thank you to Monique once again. It's been a wonderful evening. And thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. Have an awesome rest of your evening.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.